So it's an exciting day. Welcome back to Taming Tumbleweed. It's one of those days where work begins. Today you're going to start drilling holes. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. Now I see you've got, we used to call these batter boards. What do you call them?
These are batter boards. This is one of Morton's little inventions.
Is it?
That we call this a handy square.
A handy square. So you put these on here, run your string, and then completely square it up.
Yep.
And take your diagonals, I'm assuming.
Exactly.
And then looks like you've painted where all your holes are going to go.
Yep.
Now I know from building several barns that I mean we have a lot of choices, right? We could have a typically framed building, which is foundation like a house is, with framed walls. We could have a steel building, which has a complete foundation as well, steel girts, steel beams, steel post, everything steel. We are primarily dealing with wood in a pole barn, aren't we?
Correct.
Except for, tell me what the unique thing about Morton Buildings is.
So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to actually have concrete lowers. So we're not going to have any wood in the ground.
Right, which a lot of pole barns do. They sink
Correct.
their poles down into the ground.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so this is a patented process that Morton has.
We have a particular lower column here.
Yeah, let's go over there and look at it. Show me how that works. These are concrete with steel rebar already worked into them.
Correct.
Now that tells me that this isn't the complete system. What else do you do to make this work?
So right here, there's an Allen wrench hole that goes all the way through here so they can adjust this foot. We do not want iron like this to be touching ground because that causes erosion. So we have a stainless steel foot here. And now the only thing that's gonna be touching dirt is a stainless steel foot.
Right, right.
So then as we go in here and fill it up with concrete when we're to that point, the concrete's gonna come up all the way up to here, about roughly here, a few inches onto this lower.
Thus the rebar.
Correct.
How big is our barn?
So this is going to be a 48 by 78 barn, 14 feet tall sidewalls.
Now we've got a couple doors, garage doors, a couple man doors, and a few windows. Where are they gonna go?
We're gonna have 2 windows on this end wall, 2 windows on that end wall. We'll have a porch on this corner over here with a walk door underneath it. And right over here, we'll have another walk door as well. As you see over here in our paint, we have a post that's gonna go there, post that's gonna go there. So we're gonna have a 12-foot wide overhead door here.
Right, and those are gonna be the 36-inch holes on either side. Right. How tall is our door?
I believe it's 12 feet.
12 feet, yeah, so we got 12 by 12 foot
12 by 12 doors.
And then our wall height is 14?
Yeah, 14 tall.
Right. All right, Sean, so these are all our pre-made trusses, and looks like you're kind of pre-measuring some of the parts you're gonna put on. Tell us about that.
Correct. Now Ethan over here, he's laying out our purlins, so we know exactly where they are. So he's just going 3.5 down there and then measuring our spacing, which is 20 inches on center all the way down. Now
the reason he's doing it now, it's a lot easier to do it now than after the trusses are up.
Correct.
Yeah, otherwise you're hanging up in the sky trying to mark them all. No, this is all the structural part of it, Sean. Show me all the pretty parts.
All the pretty parts, they're all hidden in under the plastic wrap over there.
Let's go check it out.
All right. So this is gonna be our roof steel. Got some red.
Yep.
Morton roof steel.
That's a pretty color right there. So these are all our pieces for the roof. So there's enough to do both sides. That's the length of either side, I'm guessing right there.
Correct.
Yeah. And then the walls are what color?
The walls are gonna be ivory.
Ivory, yeah.
We're gonna have ivory side walls. And then also we're gonna have the same color, red, for the wainscot on the bottom 3 feet of the building wrapping around.
The metal, it comes in lots of different gauges, right? Thicknesses.
Correct.
But Morton uses just what gauge?
We use 29 gauge steel.
So that's pretty heavy.
It's pretty hefty. It's a lot heavier.
A lot heavier.
Yeah. The other buildings I've done before, we call it tacoing. And you can get or burritoing, I guess however you want to phrase it. But you can get it and you can roll it. And put it on your shoulder and go up the hill with it.
But not with this.
No way in hell.
Yeah, nice. All right, Sean, we're pretty anxious about you guys getting going. We've been waiting for this for a long time. How long is it going to take?
Well, this week we're going to be focusing on the foundation.
Okay.
So we'll be getting, today we're going to need to go get some augers and we're going to punch our holes. And then we'll get concrete here scheduled on Friday.
Okay.
The reason why it's taking a little bit of a long time there is we have a lot of inspections in this area. So we're going to have to dig our holes, get inspections, get our concrete, get all that going. Then after that, we're gonna start standing walls.
So how long do you think all this is gonna take?
I'm thinking 2.5 weeks to 3 weeks.
Oh, that's great.
For cruising, no interruptions.
I noticed you got a lot of crew here today, so probably going to go quick.
All right, so as you can tell, the guys are busy drilling holes, and David was right. The problem is right here. So there's a shelf that runs, you can see it up there, and then basically there's dirt there, but underneath the dirt is kind of the slaty rock. Let me show you what it looks like. So it looks like this. Yeah, that's what's underneath there, and the top layer, because of the years it's spent with frost, it's kind of broken up. But when you get down further, you lose that, and it becomes just solid rock. And here in the corner is where it probably goes underneath the barn the most. So we got to go down 4 feet. This one obviously isn't 4 feet, probably like 2.5 foot. Same problem with this guy, solid rock there, but as we move over, they get deeper. I think we're like right at 4 feet here. What do you guys think? Is this one 4 foot? We make 4 feet?
Not quite yet.
Not quite yet, but close to 4 feet. And these guys are adding water to clump up the dirt, right? So it's not as, yeah. So that's what they're doing. So we figure here's going to be the hardest place to dig holes. And obviously we're using our skid steer and then the post hole digger. But what's going to happen is they may have to take a jackhammer to the rock. There's going to be a lot of holes. Let me show you where the holes are going to be. So wherever you see a dot, 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 those are going to be the holes, and that's going to be the structural support for the barn. Hey Sean, are you going 4 feet?
Yeah.
You think you're 4?
Yeah, about 4 foot there.
This one, yeah?
Yeah, they're right there.
So the farther they get away from this corner.
Yeah, the very far corner over there, and that one's like 3 foot.
Yeah. So David was right.
Yeah.
David, I think, wants to be a geologist at heart, and he loves the geology of this. And that's cool, because without geology, there'd be no oil exploration and foundation building and, you know, all the cool stuff that me and you love so much.
All right, so we're back 1 week later, Monday to Monday, and Sean's got quite a bit of work done. Sean, let's go over what you've done so far. You started out with your batter boards, getting it all squared up. Then you brought the big bits that you had to rent. I'm assuming you rent bits, or do you have bits?
Usually we have them, but for this particular size, we had to rent some out for it.
And then you used our skid steer. I was curious, you had some 36-inch holes. How'd the skid steer do drilling that big a hole?
Yeah, the cat you had that he allowed us to use, that worked pretty good. We didn't really have any flaws, any problems. It didn't slow down. It dug right through this particular type of dirt until we hit rock.
So you did hit rock.
Yeah,
and I anticipated that because I knew from drilling before that we were going to hit rock. How many holes?
We had 3 holes in that back corner right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had the corner we had to go a foot deep into the rock, so I had to rent a jackhammer for that.
Did you?
Yeah.
I'm assuming that you hit non-excavated soil on every hole.
Yeah. Yeah, we wanted to go down to virgin soil, so there's nothing loose there. Yeah. Nothing that will
Because the farthest I filled was about 30 inches, so it was all virgin soil. So then after you set all your posts down, you leveled them up, used their, what do you call that adjustment screw that you have?
No, we have a footing in the very bottom with Allen wrench that can go in along 6-foot Allen wrench that we put in there, and it kind of level these columns up and down.
Up and down, sweet. So you got all those level, then you had to bring concrete in to pour in around those.
Correct.
How much concrete?
It was about 13, 14 yards in between there.
So
we had
two trucks.
Two trucks we had in here.
So now all that's done, you've got a lot done in just a half a day's worth of work right here. Not even that, a few hours.
Yeah.
So all the poles go pretty quick?
Yeah, we just stand them up and fasten them to the bottom there, to that footing. You can see the middle plate there.
And it's almost, the fastener almost will keep them standing erect.
Oh yeah.
While you brace them, right?
Yeah, that's why we kind of wait to work on it. So we poured it, we got the splash board on, the green treat splash board. So then everything can kind of stay formed up, and so that worked pretty good. And to make sure it's steady before we actually build on it.
So now setting poles, putting trusses up, and then maybe next week it'll be metal.
That's the idea. We'd like to get the framing done this week.
Yeah, very good. Now, it rained a bunch last night. I mean, we don't know how many inches it rained, and I knew, that's why I had this gravel delivered, and we had 3 truckloads of gravel. It's still a slimy mess out here, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it was a good thing we got the concrete done last week.
Right. No way we're bringing a concrete truck in today.
Yeah, there's some flash flood warnings in this area, so we got hit pretty hard last night.
Yeah, so it's a little soupy right now, but the sun's going to dry it out, and hopefully we won't get stuck again.
Yeah.
Coming together nicely.
Yeah.
But when these guys leave here, it's going to look like this on the inside, right? There's just going to be metal, and then this.
Yeah, this is a vapor barrier, wind barrier right here. Keeps the wind from just flying through the gaps in the metal.
So let's talk about everything that still has to get done once these guys leave. So first and foremost, we can't have dirt floors, right?
No. So I talked to my concrete guys. There's actually a cement shortage going on right now.
Of course,
believe it or not.
Of course there is.
I mean, it's like the supply chain. It covers everything. So you have to schedule your concrete like 2 weeks in advance.
Okay.
So I did talk to the guys about that, and as soon as the metal's all up and these guys are completely out, we'll come pour the slab.
Okay, and before we pour the slab, though, is we have to kind of get it nice and level, right? And we have to put some more rock down.
Yeah, and even rock is hard to get too, and the price of rock is sky high. So the best thing to do is get this recycled concrete.
Yep.
It's cheap, and it's a recycled material. So we'll bring it in, smooth it out, pour the concrete on top.
All right, and then we'll do the slab, so we'll have a nice cement floor, and then we're going to be stuck with basically bare walls, which isn't going to work for us, and a bare ceiling, right?
Right.
So what do we do after? And we still need electricity, we still need heat.
Yeah.
So what's next? What has to happen?
Well, we're going to have the electrician come, and we'll have to talk. Where do we want to have outlets? How much lighting do we want? We'll have them run all those wires before we put anything on the walls.
I love this natural light. I mean, if we left it like this.
Well, it might get a little wet in here.
It might get a little wet. And a little snowy.
I mean, you can't put those, clear panel skylights in it, but in my opinion, they almost always leak.
Yeah.
So it's just better off to have natural light coming in the windows and then artificial light with the electrical. For what you're doing with video, I think artificial light is better.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
All right, so what are we going to do with the walls? Are we just going to get, drywall up here? What's the plan?
Well, drywall you can't really hang anything on. So
plywood?
I say we either plywood it and paint it or metal.
Okay. Yeah, or both.
Yeah. Or both, or a combination.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And then how about the ceilings?
And of course, license plates. We talked about that.
Yeah, you guys, we're going to put your license plates up on the walls. Hopefully you're sending them to us. If you're interested in actually having your license plate up on the wall, just email us at AskTFL and we'll send you the address where to send them to.
Or if you have some other cool signs that could take up a lot of wall space, we'd love to have those too.
Yeah, the bigger the better.
Yeah.
And then we have to, of course, finish the ceiling, right? Because right now we have no insulation.
Yeah, so So the best way to insulate a ceiling is blown-in insulation, especially here in Colorado where, you know, we have lots of cold and, of course, heat too. So we're going to put metal on the ceiling, and I think we do that together.
Okay, yeah, sure.
You want to help me?
Yeah, as long as we have a cherry picker. I'm not that tall.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll have us a cherry picker, take us up there.
Yeah,
we'll
that'd be fun.
put our metal on, and then we'll have our electrical put in.
Is it basically like you get to use power tools? Do I get to go?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to teach you how to use a drill.
Oh, that'd be fun, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So I say we do that ourselves.
Of course, I'll go.
Yeah.
Knowing the way I work.
Yeah. So, and then we'll insulate after we do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and how much more money are we talking? Let's talk about the cement. What, 25, 20K?
Yeah, by the time we go outside, you know, because we need a fair amount of concrete on the apron on the outside. You got 30K for that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
With the gravel and all and the labor. Then, of course, we need to put some water over here. I don't think we'll bring water inside. We'll just
have it outside.
Yeah, we'll just trench a line for over here. And electrical. I mean, we're going to have.
So how much? So cement's going to be around 30. How much is electrical?
I'm not going to guess on that one, but it's going to be.
It's going to be thousands.
Thousands. Yeah.
All right. And then we need to do heat, right?
And heat. Yeah. That one, I say we just do a infrared tube.
Okay.
Yeah, those are the best.
Because they don't make noise.
No noise.
As you can hear, the noise for video production is no good.
And they heat the objects, not the air.
Yeah.
Which is much better heat.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And you can turn them on and have instant heat.
So probably thousands for that.
Yeah, thousands for that. So.
And how about insulation and
Thousands for that.
Thousands for that.
Nothing's cheap, Roman.
Especially now, huh?
Yeah. We may have to sell the Hummer after we.
Well, we're selling a lot of things. we are selling a lot of things to help pay for this.
The Lightning, the Hummer.
Well,
Let's see, is Tommy for sale?
No, Tommy's not.
Okay.
We sold the ZR2. We sold the Golf R. We sold the Golf, not the Golf R. The what else we sell? Case, what else we sold? What was the third thing?
We sold the FJ.
We sold the FJ.
FJ, yeah.
Yeah, we sold that. I sold the Mini SE.
Did you?
Yeah.
So why don't you sell the BMW and the Porsche?
Those are working videos right now, so we can't sell those.
Those are just taking up money, Roman. We need to spend that on this.
Well, we will be spending that on this as well. But the irony of that, of course, is that we built this to house those.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we got to have something to put in here.
Yeah,
when we're
exactly.
all done.
At the end of the day, we're not putting horses in here.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but David, the barn is almost done.
Yeah, I mean, we started the process a long time ago, right? We started thinking about what we wanted, the design, what kind of barn we wanted, whether it was going to be steel barn, pole barn, frame barn. So we had to make those decisions, but finally we have something to look at.
And what we're going to do today is do an inspection of the barn, see how it went together, see the quality of the work, and then we're going to break down the different types of barns and what kind of barn is right for you.
Yeah.
All right, so when you're looking at a barn, what's the first thing you're looking for?
Well, of course, aesthetics is really a big part of your decision, right? You want it to be pleasingly aesthetic to your eyes. So colors are important, and there are myriad of colors that you could have your barn. And some of the ones that are kind of taken hold are black.
Black barns?
I know, believe it or not, there's some black barns out there now. But I like the classic red and white.
Yeah.
And we got a little bit of black. You see that?
I do. I like just a little bit of black on some of the trim there.
But simplicity is key also, Tommy, for making it affordable. You know, you don't want a barn that has all kinds of angles and dormers like the carriage house over here. I mean, that makes for an expensive barn, all the angles and cuts and all that. So to get the most amount of space, it's just a simple gabled barn. All right, Tommy, you've heard the term, the devil is in the details.
I have.
But I think you got to have a little bit of angel to do the details right, okay? I'm not sure the devil really cares about details, honestly, but Morton, these guys are pretty much into details. I want to show you some of them right now. First of all, the thickness of the metal. It's a heavier gauge than what you might find on some cheaper barns. So it spans, if you notice that the distance between the screws is 3 feet. 3 feet from there to there to there. So with metal that's not as thick, it's not as durable, right? Because it would have a lot of give to it. So they use a heavier metal, heavier gauge metal. The screws are what kind of cool. It's like the Torx head. It used to be a hex head, everything, and a lot of barns are still built with hex heads, but I like the cool look of the Torx head, and I like the profile of this metal too. A lot of them are a sharp bend. It's a bend, right? All square. This is more the rounded metal look. I like that look a lot. But I especially like the colors that we chose. The red and the white, kind of real traditional.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking at all the details about how they did all the windows, all their screw placement. You know, does everything line up nice? All the screws, are they put in at the right torque? Because you can over torque them or under torque them, and so the washer doesn't necessarily seat very well. So there's a lot of little details that you have to look for, see if the guys did a good job, and I think Morton did excellent.
So what about the base here? So it looks to me, because I know nothing about buildings or barns, that like on a car you'd have like a side skirt to like cover the bits, but how does this work? So
we talked about different kinds of barns we could have built, right? And the reason we went with a pole barn is mainly for cost, okay? Because if you were to build a steel building, you're gonna have a full concrete foundation, and you would see concrete. And even though that's the best foundation for like longevity, it's also the most expensive foundation, because number one, you got to bring in a piece of equipment to dig a trench.
Okay.
Then you have to form up the walls.
Okay.
Then you have to pour the walls, and then you would get a nice look like you do on a house with the concrete. Whereas a pole barn, we're going to have a treated piece of wood at the bottom right here. Now Morton does not put treated poles into the ground. They actually have concrete poles that go into the ground, but we'll need to cover this up with gravel. So
interesting.
I'll bring the skid steer in here, smooth all this out, and then we're going to backfill with gravel, and that way, you know, we can keep the weeds from coming through.
So let's talk a little bit about like the different ways you could build a barn like this. So when we went with Morton, as I understand it, we basically spec'd out the barn, came up with the size, got the permits, and then they went out and kind of pre-constructed it at their facility.
They do.
And then brought it out here and kind of put it all together. What are some of the other ways, if you didn't go through a company like this, that you would build a pole barn?
So we could either had a framed barn, which is typically like your house, typical house is, with 2x4s, 2x6s, siding, board and bat, you know, even metal. You can do a frame barn with metal too. Or you could go with a steel building, right? Where you have standard footing, stem wall foundation with steel girt and steel panel, steel beams, everything's all steel. And that's a great option too. For us, that was more money. And the reason has a lot to do mainly with excavation and concrete, okay? Because we didn't have to have all that equipment come out here and concrete guys come. All of Morton's guys just poured a minimal amount of concrete in the holes, right, to hold up the barn. So the advantage for us to build a pole barn is, number one, the labor. There's so many pole barns around here, Tommy. I mean, it's kind of like in our part of the country where it's dry, it's like the standard for the industry. Yeah, there are a few steel buildings, but it's mostly pole barns, and I think it's because it's so dry. Now, if you were to go down in the south, it's probably not a great idea. In a really wet, humid like Florida, it's probably not a great idea to do anything with wood.
Okay.
You know, especially down low in the ground like this, because wood reacts a whole lot different than it does in our climate. So depending on where the barn's being built, changes things. But for us in our climate, in this atmosphere, pole barns are the best.
So we're inside the barn, David, and what are we looking at here?
So I like Morton's system. It's a lot like other companies do it, with a little different catch. You have a laminated beam, which they're glued. They're 2x6s essentially. They're glued and nailed together, but they're notched for their great big steel attaching point, right?
Oh, wow, yeah.
And this piece of steel is mounted to their concrete. This is their patented system. And welded to this piece of steel are 4 pieces of rebar that go down into the ground. And then we poured more concrete at the bottom of the hole.
Wow.
So these are an adjustable post base, essentially. They've got a foot on the bottom. And this is what's cool. Count how many fasteners are right here on the side.
Yeah, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10.
10. there's 20 fasteners right here. Think about how many there are for the whole thing. And then also, it's got a fastener right here into the concrete that holds the skirt board on.
Oh, interesting.
And this is a treated piece of wood here.
Gotcha.
And then we're gonna pour concrete about to this level right there. So this is a really cool system that, I mean, talk about solid and will never rot.
It's a good way to do it.
It's a good way to do it.
So this barn is 48 feet wide.
Yeah, 48 by 78.
Does it get more expensive if you go wider?
It does. So think about the truck that this was delivered on. We can go back to that video and show them. They were able to bring it all the way from Illinois on the flatbed. But if you were to make the barn bigger, you really limit yourself into how big the truss can be, because the trucks can only haul so big of a piece of lumber or truss until they have to go, over size. And so that increases the cost to have an oversized truck delivered to your property.
Very interesting. Okay.
And also we'd have the added problem of trying to get it up the driveway and around the corners if you were that long.
That's
so
true.
yeah, 48's a good dimension.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Now, what is this material? This like a vapor barrier?
Yeah, it is. It's Morton's own vapor barrier. The cool thing about this, not only does it stop the wind and the vapor from coming through, but it gives us the option, if we ever wanted to insulate this with foam, you could spray foam right onto this material.
Okay.
And it doesn't attach itself to the metal.
Oh, interesting.
Because you think about it, let's say you were to spray foam your pole barn that didn't have this on here, and it attaches itself to the metal, and let's say you drove a truck into the side and ruined one piece of metal or two, and you wanted to replace them. Getting that unattached from all that spray foam is nearly impossible. You almost have to go over the top of it.
Wow.
With a new piece of metal, right?
Yeah.
So this isolates the metal from the foam. But we also have the option of just doing fiberglass in here too, and then putting plywood on the outside. We're going to want to put electrical in here as well. So more than likely we'll go the cheap route.
Yeah.
We'll get it priced out both ways.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. Is spray foam more expensive than
It is.
okay.
But it's much better. I mean, it seals everything, right?
Yeah.
It seals every little crack. It makes the building stronger as well.
So let's talk about the door setup that you decided on. So we've got the two big doors, and what are the dimensions on these doors?
Yeah, they're 12 by 12.
They're huge.
Yeah, we debated on the size, right? Because a lot of people say, well, you need to be able to pull a big motorhome in here. Except that we don't test many motorhomes, right? I mean, it's big enough. It's big enough. If we wanted to pull in semis, semi-trailers, great big motorhomes, we should have gone taller.
Right.
But that means the building would have been 2 more feet taller, and it's already a big building.
Sure. So 12 by 12. Now, is Morton going to do the doors? Who's going to do the doors?
Well, they do supply the doors in the bid, but it's actually an outside contractor that'll put the doors up.
Oh,
one of the
interesting.
big overhead door companies will put their door on here for us, which are hard to source right now.
Are they?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you decided to kind of put the two doors next to each other versus like on the ends. What's the thinking there?
Well, from talking to you and Roman and Andre and exactly, the configuration for doing filming, we wanted the two ends for either parking trucks, parking cars, parking four-wheelers, but we also wanted to be able to pull some in to either work on or store and film. And so I felt like it was, doors are expensive, right?
Right.
So we could have put 4 doors across here, and that'd have been maybe the best thing, but we didn't need to spend the money for all 4 doors. We can still come in and pull 5 vehicles sideways on either side and 2 vehicles this way. We can put a lot of trucks and cars
If
in
you
here.
had to, you could really stack them up. So what's this little area here?
We got a porch, Tommy. Aesthetically it's pretty cool looking, but it also is nice in the wintertime when it's snowing to be able to enter this door without a big pile of snow right in front of it.
Well, that is nice.
Yeah,
I didn't think
or
about
when
that.
it's raining, you're holding something you're carrying. You want to be able to go in without, getting wet.
Now, one thing I noticed is we didn't put a whole lot of windows in it. Probably partly on purpose, because when you're building like a little filming studio, you want to rather have lights and stuff.
Correct.
But we have the windows on the sides, right, and then none on the back.
Yeah, we can put some blinds on the sides when we're filming because we want to do artificial light. That was one thing Alex
Suggested.
that mostly artificial light for filming.
And speaking of artificial light, how are we going to get power here?
We'll be able to pull right off of the cottage house there with, has a 150 amp breaker. that we can come off of to supply power over here.
And do you do the power before you pour the concrete?
No.
No.
What we'll do is we'll come off the meter housing over there. It's actually just the breaker, the shutoff breaker. We'll go underground and we'll probably come up on that side. We'll trench from there to there, and then the shutoff and breaker will be on the outside of the barn.
So we'll have another breaker.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll have its own shutoff for the barn.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then are we going to do water to it too?
I think we'll do the same thing because we've got water right there too, but probably just put a spigot maybe right out front here.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, as simple as that. That way we can pour concrete and wash vehicles right here.
So if you were to do this for yourself,
Yes.
how long do you think it would cost you, or how long do you think it would take, and how much do you think it would cost you on David's time?
Well, I wouldn't attempt one because of my age right now.
What, 40?
Because
you're like,
yeah, I'm 60 now, and I get a little scared being up at 20 feet off the ground. You know.
But you've done it before.
But I've done it. Yeah, I built a pole barn 2 years ago.
Wow.
And I said I would never do another one again because of that. Yes. But no, I mean, they got 4 or 5 guys working. They did it in 3.5, 4 weeks, right?
Yeah.
It would have taken me probably 8, 10 weeks.
8, 10 weeks?
With a helper, yeah.
But it probably also would have saved a lot of money because having it prefabbed is pretty expensive.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Morton puts a premium on it probably by 20,000, 30,000, just because it's there. They guarantee it, they warranty it, they build the products, they have the patents on the concrete system. So it's, I mean, you get what you pay for, right?
Yeah.
I could have built you a really good barn, but it would take me a long time. But I can't have the warranty like a big corporation can, right?
Sure.
So best of both worlds here.
Now, when they did it, it all showed up in like an erector set, and then they put it together. If you were to do it, how would you source the materials?
So, yeah, you can't do their system, right? I mean, you can do something similar, but you're still going to be sourcing the materials out from lots of different places. Like the metal would come from a local metal distributor. The 2x4s and 2x6s will come from your local lumberyard. Your laminated beams will come from a different source. The concrete post, you're going to have to pour your own concrete post. So you're sourcing from a lot different places where they provide. I mean, they do all this in their factory.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It is cool.
So are you pretty impressed with their work?
I am. This was a good choice for us. All right, it's a big day. We got the building done, and now it's time for a concrete slab. So I got my buddies Emiliano Vargas and all of his workers. We're gonna pour about 60 yards of concrete, 5 inches thick. That way we can put whatever we want inside this barn, even maybe a lift. So stay tuned.
All right, well, that was the first of, I believe, 5 truckloads. Did that corner right back there. We've got another truck on the way in right now. And yeah, they all have a little bit different amount of concrete. I think that first truck, David said, was like 8 or 10 yards of concrete. I'm pretty impressed by how quickly this is all coming together. That was really only 15, 20 minutes. They had that first truck poured, smoothed out, screeded, and it looks great. So yeah, we're gonna keep on cranking with the trucks.
Okay, like most all jobs, you have to estimate how much concrete you need. And something this big, it's a little more difficult to hit it spot on. So we were off by a little bit, by 6 yards. So 57 yards is already down and 6 more to go. So the truck is on its way, hopefully. But we poured it a little thicker than we probably had to, mainly because we're gonna have lots of trucks, maybe some big equipment in here. And also if we put a lift in, it's also good to have it a little thicker for a lift. So it's okay that we went over. It'd be muy bueno. So this is my good buddy, Emiliano Vargas. We have been friends since the 80s. So 40 years, better than 40 years. I know you won't believe this, but Emiliano is 73 and he pours concrete every day, every year, 24/7. No, not quite 24/7, but he is the hardest working man I have ever been around. And he's done every foundation, every flat work, every stem wall that I've ever built.
Farm.
And on the farm, yeah, on the ranch.
Corn.
Oh, he grows corn too. That's right, he's got a ranch and he grows cucumbers and tomatoes and everything, as well as a big field of corn. So he's like the man of many talents, and he's been one of my best friends over the years. So it's good to have him here helping on our project. Are you sharpening it or dulling it?
Sharpen.
You sharpen it?
Yep.
And kind of round it?
Yep. A little bit here in the corners.
That way it doesn't catch the concrete? Otherwise,
No make lines, no nothing.
Right.
It's finished pretty good.
finish it. Do you do that every time?
Every day.
Every day? Yeah. Every day.
Yep.
How long have
We
you had this trowel?
20 years.
Have you really? Wow. Is that,
many years.
That's your favorite trowel?
Yep. That's a good one.
All right, so we ended up pouring 63 yards of concrete. We started out thinking it was going to be like 57, but we were a little bit short, weren't we, Emiliano? Then it took a while to get the last truck, but I think we probably averaged 5.5, 6 inches all the way around. It's going to be a good, strong concrete with wire in it. Yeah. So you do this every day?
Every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
You ever get tired of it, Emiliano?
No.
You love it.
It's really pretty good.
Keeps you in shape.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was telling them you've almost had your ear cut off, you broke your back,
Yeah.
but you still keep working.
It's really pretty good.
Yeah.
Like my back and my hands. Pretty good.
You're still a strong man.
No complaints or nothing.
Yeah. So thank you for watching this episode. We still have some outside flat work to go, and we'll keep you up to date on that. But we're almost done with the barn, except for electrical, ceiling, insulation. Yeah, maybe we're not quite done with the barn. So stay tuned.